Hi, everyone. Thanks again for joining our webinar. My name is Emre, and I am part of the team behind Ant Media Server. Today, I'd like to talk to you about building your own streaming platform, with or without Ant Media Server, towards $1 billion application. What do I mean by that? So maybe you have an idea, maybe I have an idea, and this is such a great idea that if you could execute it, if you could build this application, it would be worth $1 billion. I love such ideas. But what if this idea had real-time streaming at its core? So the use case or the point of the application required real-time video streaming. So one of these ideas that I had was building Clubhouse, but with video. I think it would be worth $1 billion maybe. But how would I do that? I don't know anything about video, but I want to own the streaming platform I'm using because it's core of my business. So how could I possibly do that? Today, I'd like to go over how you can ask such questions and build such projects. So today, our agenda will be going over questions you should probably ask before you build a streaming platform, how Ant Media can help you answer these questions. We'll be deploying Ant Media Server on AWS live to simulate like having such an idea, building such an application, and implementing the video side of things in about like 10 minutes or so. So you can focus on actually the user experience through the other features of your application or project. So for that, I will be showing some sample web apps that you can use. And we'll be taking a sneak peek at something that I find really interesting. And after that, we can go with the questions and answers. So let's get started. So what are some of the questions you should ask before building a platform? So I know the text here is really small, so I will switch over to this version. So let's say you're just getting started with video streaming. What are some of the things that you should be considering? So latency is a huge part of the experience for the user. So if your use case requires real-time communication where users have to carry a conversation or talk to each other simply, you would really like ultra-low latency because this allows for information to go through the chat or the stream and an answer to come back in time. Because otherwise, conferencing might be a very bad experience for everyone. But with ultra low latency, it's much better. You also might be fine with low latency for some one-to-N streaming applications where the latency doesn't matter as much because there won't be anybody answering back. Or your broadcast latency could be fine up to 30 seconds because you're streaming video on demand. So all of these are valid and depends on your use case and your project. So when you decide on the correct latency, you should understand the streaming methods or the configuration of your use case. So it could be one-to-N, just like this webinar, because I am streaming to N participants, or more accurately, it could be end-to-end, like this webinar, because we are more than one people and there are more than one viewer for each broadcast. Or you could have a one-to-one peer-to-peer streaming scenario. So that matters as well. So you have to understand what kind of a streaming method your great billion-dollar idea requires. So after that, you will have to look into the project size. And this is one of the trickiest parts of understanding real-time streaming. So you would be better off knowing how many broadcasters and viewers and how much you will be streaming for. So not in all cases it is possible to know these, but knowing these beforehand allows you to size your servers, and it's very important. Also, if you are planning to scale, so if you are planning to have $1 billion application, you better be able to grow. So that's something to consider as well. Also, you should be looking at your use case and understanding where you need to be integrating with. So if your application is going to be a browser-based application, you need your streaming platform to support web. Or if you're going to go the mobile route, you need to be able to support the mobile application and mobile devices as well. So having a REST API also helps with integration. So these are all things you should be considering, questions you have to be asking about your use case. Am I going to need this? Am I going to need that? So after you decide on the left side what you need, depending on the latency, the streaming methods, you're going to have to make some choices on the right here. So here in protocols, this will mostly be dependent on your latency requirements. So if you require ultra low latency, you would be better off with going with webrtc or SRT. With different use cases, RTMP and RTSP might be required, for example, with IP cameras. So you have to make sure that the protocols your streaming platform uses fits with your use case. So according to that, you can pick a protocol, and then you're gonna try to build a small business plan. So what kind of a deployment makes sense for you? What is easiest for you? What is most cost efficient? So there are a few options here as well. So you could be deploying on premises, for example, for some secure kind of projects, or you could be getting a managed service from one of our partners. Or my favorite choice, you could be using any of the public cloud providers, for example, like AWS or Azure. On AWS and Azure, we actually have ready-to-go marketplace images, but anywhere you can have a Linux box, you can self-host your video streaming platform as well. So dependent on your usage, your growth plans, you will have to make a pick between these and deploy your video streaming platform there. Also, other things to consider are your customizability needs. Not all platforms support source code availability, or not all of them allow you to white label their products or sample applications. Not all of them have open source SDKs. So you should be considering these aspects of the streaming platform as well when you are making your choice. So these are quite important questions if you ask me. So there's also the cost side of things, as in all things in life. So cost usually changes at scale. So this might warp your perception of some products versus others. So maybe for 100 users, a streaming platform is great for you, but we are building $1 billion application here, right? So if we're gonna have like 1 million users, that cost might not be so great. It might be prohibitive. Also, SDK availabilities for free or not, or the licensing and subscription options to these products are all things you must consider when you are choosing a video streaming platform and getting started with video streaming. So, with all that said, after you make your choices, you will have to pick a streaming platform. And there, unsurprisingly, I would suggest going with Media Server. So Media Server could be your go-to solution provider for streaming because we offer a complete streaming solution. So we support all these streaming scenarios. We also add quality of life features on top of that, such as recording, video on demand, plugins, free SDKs, the REST API for easy integration. We also support scaling and auto-scaling, which is a huge benefit when you are using WebRTC and real-time streaming. Also, you can do any of the one-to-one, one-to-end, end-to-end. We don't care, we do it all. So the idea here is to, if you have an idea that requires video streaming, you can use Media Server for it. That's the product we are trying to build. Also, know-how is quite important in real-time streaming. Everyone, including me probably, can get a prototype working, and it would be very satisfying. But for production use, for enterprise use, would you trust that, or would you trust another person, another company perhaps, who already has more than 1,400 companies working with them? So this brings a certain level of expertise, and of course, such customers or users or these kinds of users require support. So we provide that as well. And we ensure that we are testing this product thoroughly and we are maintaining the code quality. So I think for any of the questions we went over, Media Server can be a solution. Also, we have, as I said, many customers who love working with us, and we love working with them even more. So in the streaming methods I mentioned before, so web conferencing or end-to-end in one-to-N in an auction-based setting, and one-to-one streaming in robotics. So we have really interesting use cases for End Media Server, and we all think as the team behind End Media Server that one of these companies will definitely be worth $1 billion sometime, because they're all great companies. So for example, Topia is building a crazy virtual meeting experience and using End Media Server for their streaming. And Motional is building driverless cars. I mean, that's amazing. That's definitely worth $1 billion. And they are using End Media for their peer-to-peer connections. So you have the idea, you have chosen the platform, and you have chosen End Media Server. So let's get started with deploying that first instance and running the first stream. So let me go to the AWS listing, because this is probably the fastest way to get started with End Media Server. Here we have a lot of details about the product, which you could go over. We also have a fully featuring me, by the way, quick start guide that you can use. It's really basic, step by step, and it works. So let's continue to subscribe. Of course, working at End Media has some benefits. I have access to the product, so I can continue to configuration, but normally you would be subscribing to the product here. So let's configure. So I won't be touching the fulfillment option. The software version better be the latest one. And Paris is closer to me, so I will click that, and I will continue to launch. So we have a few other options here. So as I said, scaling and auto-scaling are quite important features of End Media Server. This is because the instance type you choose is quite critical in the people you can support with the streaming platform you're going to be deploying. So you can contact us, or you can use our cost calculator to check out these instance types and how much performance they all bring. We would love to help you with that, so please contact us. But for this example, I will be picking the baseline instance that we generally recommend, and it's the C5X large. So let's go with that. I won't be touching the VPC settings, the subnet settings. You should probably be creating a new security group based on seller settings, because this opens up some ports and makes sure that the streaming works correctly. So I have that correctly set up, and we have a key pair. You can create a new one if you don't have one, if this is the first time, and we will be launching it. And that's pretty much as easy as it gets, I might say, because our instance has been deployed and it's probably starting up as we are speaking. Let's take a look at it. So this is one I prepared earlier, and the next one is the initializing instance. So our instance is currently starting up, and it's actually already running. After this point, you should enable SSL, and that's like a 2-command copy-paste sort of job, but I don't want to get involved with that because I already made a video tutorial about that, and you can take a look at that to get step-by-step instructions. And yeah, so I will be in a cooking show fashion, be moving over to one I prepared earlier. So this is the one. The address for that is here. So since we launched our instance, I had actually logged in for the first time, creating the replacing the password. So don't even try joining in. But let's go. So this is the instance we just launched, and we are ready to stream. So let's go over to the live app. And you can imagine that since you are building your $1 billion application, everything I'm going to be showing you here are samples and applications that you can easily integrate into your own product, perhaps being the core feature of your idea. So let's try streaming. So this is the example publish page. And let's go to the sample list so I can show you those as well. So we have quite a few samples here, which you can take a look over at. I will be showing 3 examples from here. Let's go to the play one in a new tab. Let me start publishing. Mute myself so we don't get echo. And let's start playing. And that's it, actually. We are live and streaming. So let me put those side by side. This one to the right, this one to the left. So hopefully you can see this. I will be waving at you. So there's the camera. This is amazing. This is in under half a second. My video is being transferred from my browser to the AWS server that we just deployed, and it is being broadcasted back down to the other tab in under half a second. So that's amazing. That could be a feature in a huge application that's probably worth $1 billion. So let's go on with some of the other samples we have available. So let me stop playing here and let me stop publishing here. So as you can imagine, this could be, let me minimize that, the core of like an auction website or the core of a whole cryptocurrency ecosystem. So the possibilities are quite large, I must say. So let's say your project has WebRTC conferencing between N and N parties, so multiple broadcasters and multiple viewers, so multiple participants. So this is our example conference app. So you could join in on this and we could have like a WebRTC conference. We can enable MCU to output a single output stream. So it is quite versatile and you can implement these within your applications quite easily. So we have quite a few of these samples available for other use cases as well. I would love for you to check this out if you're not familiar with it, and maybe build a $1 billion application using these. So let's go back. And since we looked at the relevant examples, I think, let's go back to the dashboard. And let me go back to my slides. So now you have seen how easy it is to get started with a streaming platform that you can integrate it within your project quite easily. Because at this point, I'm assuming that you have some sort of app or website that might be worth $1 billion, and you will be just implementing these using the REST API we already provide and using other SDKs that you might need. You can integrate them within your project and implement real-time streaming this quickly. So that instance, as you've seen, it was ready in no time. So where are we on the agenda? All right, we tested some sample web apps and saw how much value that could add to your application with such an amazing streaming experience. So I promised a sneak peek at something interesting earlier. Let's take a look at that. So we would love to share with you one of our new mottos that we are developing currently. So if possible, our goal, our dream is for the next steps of the Ant Media's ecosystem. We imagine that we could become the streaming engine of the world. So think about that for a second. That's huge, I think. And just like WordPress, we could have an ecosystem where developers and users of the product could have win-win relationships with each other through some sort of marketplace. So this idea includes growing with our community because we value the vibrant developer community. We have quite a bit, and we want to grow with this community by creating win-win relationships. I mean, mutualism was one of my favorite subjects in biology. To this end, we are imagining and working on starting some sort of marketplace for custom applications and plugins. So let's imagine that, I mean, this is just a sneak peek, right? This worked and there was a marketplace and there was another conference app or some other app on the marketplace. So let's imagine you downloaded that. How would you use it? So let's take a look at that. Let me go back to my dashboard because I now have an Antmedia server instance running and I can do whatever I want with it. So let me go to the dashboard and I will click on New Application. So let's name this New Conference. And it asks me for a WAR file, and I have this mysterious file on my computer because we are just imagining this. So let me create a new application. All right, it is uploading. It's telling me to please wait a few seconds. That's fine with me. Oh, wow. That was quick. So now we have another application within our Antmedia server instance that we deployed about 5 minutes or so ago. So let's go into this new app and see what it has to offer. Oh, wow, that looks slick. My name is Emre. Yeah, all right. I am ready to join. Let me join in. Let me mute myself. Oh, wow, that's a whole another conferencing app experience. And I uploaded that in what, like 30 seconds, 1 minute, something like that. And the point here isn't the conferencing application. I mean, it is nice, but we will be talking about that in soon, let me say soon. So in this marketplace, we are imagining applications just like this one. So we want for our community to be able to develop for the other users within the community. And this way, we all can benefit from it, essentially creating win-win relationships. So on this marketplace, we are imagining that there will be custom applications and filters and plugins, whatever you want to create and whatever everyone might need. So this community, we are imagining that will make us much greater and it will help us move forward and become the streaming engine of the world, hopefully. So some of the ongoing projects that are currently underway to this end are a background noise reducer, a closed captioning and live translation plugin, an automatic face puller with artificial intelligence, and the new conference app I just showed you. So there's quite a few things already in motion, but we would love for you to contact us and let's try to grow together and build some win-win relationships, have some mutualism going on. So that would be great. So you can contact us for that, and you could contact us for writing blogs. We want to get closer with our community and work together to move toward the future where Antmedia Server is the streaming engine of the world. So those are all the main points I would like to mention, I think, because we went over like a quick demo of what you can do with Antmedia Server before I bore you guys. We tested some sample apps. I mean, I sneak peeked, provided a sneak peek of what's happening with the Antmedia ecosystem in the future. And we can hopefully go over our announcements and take some questions maybe. So we are trying to become the streaming engine of the world. So we would love for you to join us in building this streaming engine, either by working with us or just by using it. So you can join us over at community and you can create some plugin requests or like talk about the marketplace or announce that you're interested in building something. We would love that, by the way. Also, another announcement that we have is that you can review Antmedia Server and we will be sending you a coffee on us. I think that's a great idea because I love coffee. You probably love coffee as well. So we would love to hear what you think, and all published reviews will get a $25 gift card. So you can buy coffee with that on us, no problem. And we can enjoy our coffee together. So visit G2 and submit your review for Antmedia Server. And thanks. So we will be going over to our questions and answers section now, I think. If you have...
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for your presentation. We have some questions. And
yes, maybe we can continue. Okay, some of them are...
First of all, thanks for the wonderful conference. It's
Thank
really
you.
helpful for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It will be a very great to hear all those streaming about the engine and all. So we have a basic question like you have showed a demo on AWS, right?
Yeah.
So is there any can we able to set up it is in on-premises as a cluster? We can add more nodes in case of more based on the more streaming viewers. How can we scale up the nodes in the on-premises? Because most of our clients expecting it will be set up in the on-premises. So at the time we need to more compatible when compared to the AWS, because we have to pay for the instances as well as the server cost also, right? We're already having our own servers. So first of all, I need to know that, and also for based on the configuration, how to, because some of our customers will come and ask based on the server configuration, how many viewers we can able to view a content. So at the time, say for example, you know about the Bigo Live app, right? So this kind of
Yeah.
application having multiple, say for example, Insta Live also. So in the Insta Live, there are many of the streamers and many of the viewers. So how can we calculate I mean the hardware and the software cost, everything. So
Yeah.
that we have to calculate that, and we need to present to our client. This is our direct question. Maybe
Sure. Thanks for the question. That's a quite large question. I love it. Thank you for the question. So for the first part, you can use some orchestration tools like Kubernetes to spin up more instances and configure this on your on-premise setup to spin up more instances as you need, if I understood the question correctly. And for your second part, your question was, I mean, it was so long, sorry.
Sorry,
How
I
can
mean,
you
It's just-
calculate, right? Oh,
how many
right.
streams and how many viewers?
Yeah.
So
So
how can we calculate
yes,
based on the
that's a
configuration and the bandwidth?
very, yeah, that's a very huge formula with many variables. So let's go over here. So each of these variables actually affects that. So what you need, you can use our cost calculator to get a rough estimate of how many servers you need for like X amount of viewers or X amount of broadcasters. But for finer estimates, I would implore you to contact us over at contact@antmedia.io, and me, including other solution architects, would love to help you with sizing and estimating your required servers and how many people you will be able to host with these servers. So it's a quite complicated question, and the answer would change with every use case. So you can get a rough estimate on cost calculator, and we can help you with more exact estimates if you contact us. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have also some written questions. Ramjivan has a question. He asked, Antmedia server is packed with lots of use case scenarios, but our use case is quite simple. Is it possible to customize pricing for specific features only? Maybe you can contact with Antmedia server solution architect team, and you will also Antmedia server has some startup programs. If your case fits to that case, maybe you can contact with the team, contact at antmedia.io. You can contact solution team with that email address. Patrick has questions. He asked for does Antmedia have a range of solutions for developers? Actually, Antmedia server is a product that is for developers mostly. It is not a final product that is served to the end users, but it is a core product under your streaming application, as Emre told. I set up he also continued. I set up a basic WebRTC on my application, but I am looking for help in setting up my application so that it can scale. Okay, Antpedia Server provide a scalable solution to you. Actually, our previous session, community event session, was related to scalability, and we had a live demonstration up to 25,000, I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay, you can check it. We have some documentation about the scalability. You can check them. We can provide the links for you. Christoph has a question about MCU. I can't find a way to enable MCU for a room using the REST API or from Android API if it is not possible using REST. It is, I'm not sure if it is possible with REST, but you can enable MCU, you adding a simple parameter to one of the SDK method in the Android SDK. If you contact with the support team, we can provide relevant solutions to you. How you can enable it. It's possible. We're also using it in Android. Pankaj has a question: how to make WebRTC peer-to-peer stream broadcast with RTMP HLS, such as Instagram does the same protocol. If you mean converting RTMP streams to WebRTC, then it is an available and maybe mostly used, one of the mostly used use cases in Antipedia's server. As I understand, you are asking for it, RTMP to WebRTC streaming, and actually, you don't need to do anything. With the default settings, if you have an RTMP stream, then you will get WebRTC stream. WebRTC output for that stream also. For the HLS case, if you want to feed Antipedia server with the HLS source, and if you want to play it with WebRTC, this is not a common use case actually, because HLS protocol is HTTP-based protocol, and it has some latency around 10 seconds. So your streamer side, in your streamer side, there is a latency. If you want to play it with low latency, your end-to-end latency will be not real time. It will have high latency because of the stream source. Okay. Zero. I'm sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. Where we can find that file, I think you mean the var file. Actually, the answer is very simple. You will generate these files, guys. We want our community produce these var files. Actually, the var file that Emre upload the server and add a new stream has been developing by some community guys, and it will be available soon in our marketplace. By the way, it is also available in internet. Maybe we can provide the link, but as I said, it has been developing right now. Maybe you can wait for its final version. It will be ready in 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah, as I said, it was a sneak peek, so currently not available. But as Burak mentioned, we are really excited about this ecosystem, so we would love for you to build these WAR files. So please contact us if you would be interested in that.
Yep. Also, there are some other projects which is ongoing right now and developing by the community. You may one that will create his own application or plugin and share in our marketplace. Not in our marketplace. I think it is your marketplace. It is the community's marketplace.
Exactly.
Sami has a question, is this demo recorded? Yes, it's recorded. Is it possible to get the recording? I think we will upload it to the YouTube and we can share the link, all
Yeah.
of you guys.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I have a
Guangzhou
question.
has... Okay,
All right.
please.
Yeah, so I was asking, is it possible to apply graphics on live stream, like graphics like logo, scroll?
If you want to add an overlay, logo overlay on the server, yes, you can do that. Also, there was a community event in which we demonstrate the filter plugin. One of the sample is adding logo on top of your stream on the server side. Also, there is some other ways to do that on the client side, publisher side or player side. You can do anything on
Like
client side or server side.
on server side, I want to do this, and one more thing is like, I want to control those graphic overlays with the REST API. Is that even possible?
Yes, you can do it with REST API. If you contact with our support team, support@antimedia.io, we will help you. Okay.
Okay. And one more thing, can you provide the link to that uh, webinar where you demonstrated this solution?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just send
I-
it.
I'm just
Okay,
sending it,
thank you.
okay? Via chat.
Guangzhou has a question. When I'm demo the new conference application, I noticed there is a bit pixelation issue. Is it because of my network or because of Antimedia server? Actually, I didn't recognize it. Maybe I missed if it is related to your network or it is related to tool. I'm not sure right now. But as I said, it is an ongoing project. It's not a final release. We just wanted to show you the idea behind the marketplace and creating applications, creating plugins. Maybe it may inspire you to create new applications or plugins. Rafa has a question, how you achieve 1 second latency? What are the real conditions from user's perspective requirements? Actually, sub-second latency, less than 1 second latency is achievable nearly under all circumstances. But if you have a good connection, then the latency may be less than 200 milliseconds or less. We have some blog post about Amazon Verizon network, and we have some measurement, latency measurement on that environment, and it's far below the 1 second. Yes, some answers. Is it possible to use webrtc adapter as a React.js component? I think yes. I'm not sure. I'm not a front-end developer, but the conference application previously Emre demonstrated is developed by React.js, and also webrtc adapter is used there. So I think you can do that. Maybe someone from the team can answer this question better. Ramjimal, okay, you asked your question and we tried to answer it. Matthew has question, does the server offer any native monetization solution? Pay-per-view? For now, monetization was not our main concern, but maybe with your applications, with your plugins which is developed by you, by the community, you can add such features to Antimedia server. Market's question, is there any existing or planned playout component available? Actually, I couldn't understand the playout component, but if you want some sample applications, yes, we have some sample applications and blog posts, some sample plugins, and also blog posts. How you can, that tells how you can create your own application or plugin. We can provide the links related to that documentation. Simone has a question with the conversion from the RTMP to webrtc. The max latency is too low for my application. Needs my approach is quality first, and the image became laggy when encoder takes too much time. How can I set those settings? We need to investigate your issue deeply. If you drop an email to support@antmedia.io, then we will contact with you and we will try to solve it. Let me say add something. You need to some specific parameters on RTMP encoder side, because the nature of the WebRTC, your RTMP stream should not have any B frames. You need to eliminate them. So if you can provide your use case or scenario to our support team, then you will get an answer. Rafa, thank you, Rafa, also your question. I would like to see those latency test documentation. Okay, we'll put Hamid or someone other from team, please provide our Amazon Verizon network blog post.
Okay.
Okay. Yücel Hastunç has a question. Does Antmedia support 4K streaming? We are using webrtc. If it does support 4K streaming, what configurations are required? Antmedia server supports 4K streaming with the default configuration, actually, but your network quality and also your server, the machine on which Antmedia server is running is very important to support 4K streaming. Because the data say is huge for 4K streaming, so you need to have a good bandwidth and also you need to have a good CPU. What are the main configuration which affect resolution of the stream? Normally, with by default settings, you will get the same resolution with the input stream. Okay, but if you have some adaptive streaming settings, then you will get multiple resolutions. You can find the detailed information about Antmedia server adaptive bitrate feature in our documentation. You can find. We have 4 questions. I think I will try to answer them quickly. It's almost 50 minutes. What protocol can be used to ingest video stream using FFmpeg besides RTMP? Okay, this is a good question, Sami. Thank you for that. Let us remind the new feature of Antmedia server with the 2.4.3 version. Actually, the SRT streaming is a new feature. It's available after 2.4.3 version, and you can ingest your stream with SRT using FFmpeg to Antmedia server. Rudy has a question from the Indonesia. I have been using a predator. My question is, for the RTT connection, we need a stand server. Which one consumes more resources? I'm not sure if you mean turn server instead of stand server or not, but normally stand server does not require so much CPU or resources. Also, there are some free stand servers provided by Google. Maybe you can use Sun server. But if you mean churn server instead of Sun server, then yes, churn server requires some bandwidth resources to use, but you don't have to use churn server for all WebRTC communication. It's only for some situations according to the peers firewall or not types. So if you ask this question to support team, then you will get a better answer, detailed answer. Last 3 questions. Is it possible to automate certain operations such as video file recording by using scripts? Actually, all operations that you can do via Antmedia server dashboard are done by REST methods. Okay, so you can automate all these operations, recording or other stuff with REST methods. Kavurajan has question, if we use Antmedia for peer-to-peer and conference audio video calling, how the sessions are maintained with multiple instances used? This is a good question about the cluster, I think. For conference solution, Antmedia server also supports the cluster. So our main goal for the next community event is demonstrate how you can scale up your conference solution. Maybe you will get a better answer if you join the next community event, but it is supported by Antmedia server, and as I said, the next event will be related to this topic. Sami, what are the advantages of using SRT over RTMP? Actually, it depends on your use case. Some user wants to use SRT because of their requirements, or they want to use RTMP because their protocol supports it. Actually, to be honest, I don't know the advantages between these two protocols. Maybe we can provide some documentation about that to you. Okay, Hamid, this is questions from, I think, okay, the chat channel.
From chat, yes.
Okay, I think this will be the last question. Is it possible to create a streaming application in which we can send streams from our local IP cameras to server using RTSP URL and can show on applications after applying some video analytics features using Antmedia? Okay, that's a good questions. Also, maybe we will have some other community event about this question. Antmedia server has a new feature, again with the 2.4.3, in which a local Antmedia server can communicate with a public Antmedia server to provide WebRTC streaming for the IP cameras in a private network. We have some documentation about that, and we can provide you. Again, you can drop an email to support at Antmedia for the details. I think all questions.
There's one last question. Just a minute. You can see
chat
window. Yeah.
Okay, let me switch to chat window.
Yeah.
Can we schedule auto scale? The Antmedia server, yes. You can have an auto scaling solution using Kubernetes, and also it is documented on Antmedia server documentation. Maybe we can provide the resources antmedia.io link to community. Okay, guys, thank you for your joining.
Yeah, everyone. Thank you all for joining. It was really exciting for us to have so many people who are excited about streaming here. We had a lot of fun doing this, and we hope that you would love to be part of the community we are trying to build and be part of what we are trying to accomplish by being the streaming engine of the world. So to that end, thank you all for joining, and I wish you a great day.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the
Thank you,
support.
guys. Have a good
Thank
day.
you.
Thanks for
Thank
all the
you.
answers. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
No
Thank you so
problem.
much.
Thank you all.